Fantastic. So, um, okay, let me go. Okay, great. So, welcome everyone to Three Secrets to Becoming a Confident Cook. Uh, okay, there we go. Let's zoom on in. So plan for today is first, I'm going to share my story just for those of you that don't know me and quickly go over who I am and why I'm teaching a class on becoming a confident cook. Then we're going to go deep on these three secrets to becoming a confident cook. So we'll go into each one in detail, and then I've actually got a 21-day challenge that I'm starting in February. So I'll share the details about that challenge with you. And then we'll have time for questions at the end. So as I'm going through, if you think of a question, just save it, and we'll cover it at the end. And yes, that will be our plan for today. And so it'll probably take about half an hour, maybe depending on how long questions go. It could be a little bit longer than that. But yeah, we can just play it by ear. So let's dive in. So yeah, I guess before I share my story, just who this class is for. So it's for if you're a non-cook, if you're someone who's like, oh, I can't even boil water, definitely for you. If you're a recipe cook and you're someone who always has to like do a quick search and find a recipe before you feel able to cook something, this class is definitely going to help you. And even if you're an intuitive cook, oh, okay, now we're gonna have to do the Zoom mute thing. How am I gonna do that? Uh, Um, oh no, we'll be okay. Yeah, so even if you're an intuitive cook, this class is for you as well because it's I think even when you have that ability to be able to cook, to just walk into the kitchen and pull things together, as a human, like our human brains tend to complicate things. And so this framework that I'm going to share with you today is really helpful for just keeping things really ultra simple. So if you're an intuitive cook and you're like looking for ways to simplify your cooking, it's definitely going to help you as well. And just wanted to mention that it's for all dietary requirements. It's for people from all over the world, like it really all genders, all yes. So it's for all those people. Okay. And the other thing I wanted to just assure you is that if you've struggled with cooking in the past, it's not your fault. Because the thing is that we're in this world of celebrity chefs and cookbook writers, and they want you to think that you need a lot of ingredients and layers of flavor to be successful in the kitchen. And of course, that is one way to cook, but I'm here to tell you that they're actually wrong. Like, it's not the only way. And you actually don't need anything fancy to make yourself really satisfying nutritious meals. And the other thing is, like, if you're afraid that you can't become a confident cook, then I just want you to put those fears to rest. Like, you can do this. You just need the right person to show you how to make it easy. Okay, so let's oh yeah, and my goal for this class is in the next 30 minutes is to get you to believe that my 3 ingredient healthy magic meal framework is the key to helping you feel confident in the kitchen so you get to enjoy more healthy home cooked meals. And I'm going to show you the 3 secrets that'll make it inevitable for you to achieve that result. Okay, so let's dive into my story. So just quick overview for those who don't know me. I have always been a huge food lover. I don't know why. I just grew up, like, came out of the womb loving food. And so when I was at school and deciding what to do with my life, answering that big question, I did think about becoming a chef. And then I found out that you could do this degree called food science. So I was like, oh, science, because I loved science at school. And so, oh, science and food together, amazing, sign me up. So I studied food science, and then I worked in the food industry for many years. And I had a side career as a winemaker. We'll get to that story a bit later in the talk. But yeah, mostly I was working for big food companies in their product development team, so developing new snacks and cereals and things like that. Worked for Kellogg's, and then my last job was working for Arnott's, which is, for those of you that aren't Australian, it's like the biggest cookie company in Australia, or biscuit company we call them. And they have this biscuit called the Tim Tam, which is pretty famous. Most Australians think they're the best chocolate biscuit in the world, or chocolate cookie in the world. And so my last job at Arnott's was I actually developed the white. My claim to fame there is I actually developed the white Tim Tam. Um, and but that and then around 2005, I discovered the world of blogging and I actually started my own blog called Stone Soup. And around that time, I also discovered minimalism and simplicity. So as I was applying like simplicity to my life, like simplifying my wardrobe, simplifying like relationships, all the like my house, decluttering, doing all of the simplicity. Of course, I started to apply the principles of minimalism to my cooking as well. And so I started actually creating 5 ingredient recipes way back then to really simplify the cooking for me and also sharing those recipes on my blog. And then in 2010, I actually quit my job, which many people would consider a dream job, designing chocolate biscuits, and started my online cooking school, and have been teaching online cooking classes since then. So for a very long time. So how I learned to cook, basically, I was like most people. I learned by following recipes. So my mom was a great cook, but I didn't really learn that much from her. She used to just do it, and not I didn't really pay that much attention. And so in my 20s, I was always like following recipes, and which was at the time it was great. Like I'd spend a lot of time like going through my favorite magazines and cookbooks and compiling long shopping lists and then going buying all the ingredients. And that was fine when I had heaps of time. But then what happened? I mentioned my side career as a winemaker, and so this is a winery view of some grapevines in Australia. And I was working in the Barossa Valley, and it was like vintage time, which is like harvest time, and it's insanely busy. So you're either at work, like at the winery, working really hard, it's physically hard work, or you're at home in bed sleeping, like there's no time for anything else. And so of course I didn't have time to be doing my normal recipe stuff. I had time to, and the other thing was I was living in the country, so it wasn't like I could just pop into the store on the way home or order a pizza. Like there wasn't any delivery options in the Barossa. So I had to cook. And so what I did, it was just like in order to survive, was like I started learning to cook without recipes. And because what I would do is I would go to my one indulgence was like taking an hour on a Saturday morning to go to the farmers market in the Barossa. I would buy ingredients, come home, and then I would figure it out. And so with a lot of error and some trial, I was able to started to cook come up with these, like at the time as like frameworks or muscle memory meals, like templates for meals. So if I wanted to cook curry, say, I would started to see it rather than going to a recipe. I'd just try and remember, okay, what goes into a curry, and I would make it up from there. And so that's how I learned to cook without recipes. And then, of course, with the minimalism, I started implying simplicity. So that's my secret. I mean, my story. Now let's dive into the 3 secrets. So secret number 1 is, someone's put in that they're taking notes. Right, then putting a transcript up. Amazing. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, so secret number 1 is my 3+ ingredient framework. And so the story behind this is, so I mentioned like during minimalism, I'd started creating 5 ingredient recipes. And I did that for years and years. And then I let myself off the hook and went up to 6 ingredients for a while. And then 2 years ago, I started a new cooking program, a class that I was teaching people, more of a coaching group called Joyful Cooking, which is all around helping people cook without recipes. And as I was creating the curriculum for that, I was creating like these muscle memory, like creating frameworks. So like actually giving people a specific framework for a curry, a specific framework for stir fries, specific framework for like a heap of different type of meals. And one thing that as I was doing that, I just realized that there was this common theme of like, there were really like each type of meal only had like, there were 3 main ingredients that each of these meals had. And then there were slight variations on how they were presented and prepared, but essentially it really came down to 3 ingredients. And so that's how I came up with this idea of this framework. And why this is so helpful is basically it gives you that confidence to whip up something healthy without looking at the recipe every single minute. So it helps you, like, so you're not wasting all that time on recipes. So it gives you that confidence to be able to cook without recipes. And the beautiful thing about that is that you get to use what's in the fridge already, which reduces waste, means less trips to the store, like, which of course saves you money. And the other beautiful thing about it is it's so simple, like only 3 ingredients. So like anyone can do this, like seriously anyone. And I've taught some people who have really had a lot of resistance to cooking and no experience with cooking, and then they've been able to take on this framework and use it and have amazing success in the kitchen. So how we go about the framework. So there's three ingredients, so 3 steps. So step one is you want to choose your base. And for that, most of the time I choose vegetables because I don't eat a lot of grains because I have diabetes. But you can use, it can be vegetables or grains. You can mix grains in there if you do. But we choose veggies as our base. And then our next step is to choose our protein, and the protein is really important for helping us feel the meals feel satisfying. So it might be fish or meat. It might be, if you're vegetarian, of course, there's all the pulses. It's got nice picture of canned chickpeas there, eggs, tofu, seitan, all the things. So there's heaps of options for either, regardless of whatever dietary requirements you have. And then the third step that really brings everything together is adding a tasty sauce. And so when I say a sauce, it can be things like mayonnaise or pesto or hummus, or it could even be just as simple as lemon juice. If you've got a beautiful piece of salmon and you're like, pan frying that or cooking it in that air fryer, and then so you could be the veg, you might choose to just have salad leaves with it. And then your sauce could be as simple as a squeeze of lemon that then combines with the salmon juices, and you get this really beautiful meal, and it's just 3 ingredients. Or if you think another example is like if you think about spaghetti bolognese, which is well known and well loved by families around the world. Like essentially at its core, you've got the spaghetti, so that's the grain, and you're not having vegetables in there. You've got the protein, which is the ground beef or pork or veal, whatever you're using, and then the sauce, which is like the tomato-based sauce. And you can make like spaghetti bolognese just with those three ingredients. And of course, yes, you can add garlic and you can add other flavorings and onion, but at its core, it's just those 3. So this framework works for so many options and in so many different ways. But when you start to see cooking through the lens of this framework, it changes everything, because then you go, oh yeah, that's what I need. So yeah, that's the framework in a nutshell. And then the other, with where the 3 plus it comes in, the plus is like these optional extras. So, and they're things that I call flavor bombs. And so I'll share more of those in the next secret. So you'll get a good view of what they are and how they work. But before we get to the next secret, I'm just going to share the story from one of my students. So this is Bill, and this is an example of how this framework can work for anyone. So when Bill started working with me, he said, like, I had not engaged in any real cooking for over 30 years because his wife had done all the cooking. He said, I was skeptical at first, but you've made me a convert. I'm now well on my way to truly becoming a joyful cook, which is a little short of miraculous. And so it was amazing for Bill because his wife had actually become ill and she wasn't able to cook. And so he took the class, learned this framework. So then he was able to take over that responsibility in their family, and their quality of their meals didn't suffer because Bill was able to do this, even though he was skeptical. That he was like, I don't know if this can work for me. And I was like, come on, Bill, let's do it. So yeah, it can work for everyone. Okay, so now let's move on to secret number 2. And secret number 2 is how to add flavor when things are bland. And so the story behind this, how I discovered this idea, is when I was writing my cookbook, 5 ingredients, 10 minutes. I realized, and when I was writing those 5 ingredient recipes, I realized that I needed, like, in order for things to taste good, and when I was only using a few, like that handful of ingredients, I had to pull in the big guns. And so what I started to do was making sure that each of my recipes included what I call a flavor bomb. And basically, a flavor bomb, it's just a cheat code for busting blandness. It's just a way to add a lot of flavor with just 1 ingredient. Sometimes, it might be 2. And why this is helpful is because then like when you have these flavor bombs in your arsenal, then you have that confidence that you can fix problems like as they arise. And because the biggest problem that we have in cooking, apart from, so if we're not burning things, then the next, like the biggest problem actually is just when things taste bland, like, or they don't taste as good as we want them to taste. And so flavor bombs are the solution to that, because if you have them in your arsenal, then you can know it doesn't matter. Like something you taste something doesn't taste great, you can add a flavor bomb at the table, or you can add a flavor bomb later, and it makes, you know, a world of difference. So let's talk about like flavor bombs and like what, when I talk about flavor bombs, what are they? So to give you some specific details. So it's things like, you know, nuts and seeds, like roast almonds, roast walnuts, like all pine nuts, all I love the nuts and seeds, and they're amazing because they give you that flavor, but they also give you that crunch and that interesting texture as well. And then we have things like sprinkles that I call them sprinkles, but they are things like, there's a picture of chili salt there. But they're things like furikake, which is like in Japan, they really do a lot of great sprinkles, and they're sold as rice seasonings to sprinkle on rice, but you can use them on eggs, you can use them anywhere.
Text message.
Okay. And
No,
oh, I wish my assistant Caroline had
no,
to
he
do
didn't.
the unmute thing. Let me go to Zoom and just find the mute all. There we go. There we go. Okay, sorry everyone. Back to back to the show. So yeah. So yes, sprinkles. So yeah, and then there's like the most cultures have them. So if you think about in Mexico, they have this amazing sprinkle called seasoning called tahine, which is it's beautiful. And then like everything bagel seasoning or any of the seasonings are great as sprinkles. And then also like in the Middle Eastern cuisine, they have this thing called dukkha, which is or dukkha, which is ground up spices and ground up roast nuts, which is amazing. And so yeah, like they're things that you pack a lot of flavor that you can sprinkle on at the end. And then we have things like fresh herbs, of course. So your basil, coriander, or cilantro, mint, parsley, like they just add freshness and like vibrancy and life, and they also make dishes look really pretty. And then we have cheese. So if you think back to our spaghetti bolognese example, like grating that parmesan over the spaghetti, like that's totally it. Or it could be sprinkling some feta if you're in Greece, or crumbling over some goat's cheese if you're in France. Like, but yeah, cheese can add a really beautiful flavor. And then the last category are things that I call deli items. So there's like so I've got a picture of olives there, but you know, capers, anchovies, sun-dried tomatoes, all those grilled veggies, like they can all be, and even the deli meats, so prosciutto, salami, like a little bit of that, some crispy bacon can be beautiful flavor bombs. Oh, and the other thing is that I don't have a picture of is like dried fruit and that, or fresh fruit and dried fruit, and that can add that unexpected sweetness to a dish as well. So they're like the examples of flavor bombs. And now I'll share another story of someone who I worked with. And so Penny had said, I was worried about my lack of time to get immersed, but Jules knows what busy lives we have. And then she said, this scientific approach works brilliantly well. I love the simple explanation of how flavors work together to create our tasting experience. Now I know how to take shortcuts to make use of what's left in the fridge. Okay, so that's secret number two. We've got flavor bombs. So we've got secret number one, our our 3 ingredient framework. Now we'll move on to secret number three, which is the power of frozen vegetables. The power of frozen veg. And the story behind this is how I discovered this as a secret to making my life easier in the kitchen and giving me more confidence is that, so 10 years ago, we bought a little 5-acre property, and so I live in the country, and so I can't just run to the store. I can, but it's like an hour trip return. So it's not really an option for me to just be like popping in on the way home to pick something up. But what I can do is use my freezer, and so So what I've discovered is that actually having my freezer stocked with protein and frozen vegetables and means that I always have the ability to make a meal. So this is I love frozen vegetables. The why I love frozen vegetables is because it just gives you that confidence that you can pull something together because you know you've got ingredients in the fridge. And the great thing about frozen vegetables is that they're not going to go bad. So they're always there and you don't have to stress about it. And the other great thing is that there's no prep. Like you're just opening a packet, they're already chopped and ready. There's no peeling, there's no messing around. And the cool thing is like when you use it really speeds up your cooking as well because there's no prep time. So even the slowest cook can learn to do like to be able to pull together really delicious meals in under 10 minutes because we don't have to, you don't have to have amazing knife skills or be good at prepped in order to cook well. But the thing with frozen vegetables that is that there are a few common mistakes. So let's go through them now so that you can avoid those because you can learn from my wisdom. So first mistake people make with frozen vegetables is buying inferior brands. And this isn't necessarily a price thing, but I've just noticed is that there's a huge variation in quality between different brands. And particularly like green beans really stand out to me. If you I buy like baby beans, they'll be like these beautiful beans and like super delicious. And when you cook them, they're like not quite as the same as fresh, but pretty close. Whereas if you buy just regular frozen beans, they'll be like stringy and like chopped up and like the color will be dull and they just won't be as nice. So the way to overcome this mistake is just to experiment and don't write off a particular vegetable just because you have one bad experience. Like just if you try a brand and you don't love it, then just try another brand and see. And like oftentimes you'll find a brand that you love. And like with frozen spinach, some of them are really finely chopped, and I prefer that. So I like actually buy the frozen spinach from Aldi, whereas others are really coarse and not so nice. So that's first mistake. Second is thinking that fresh is the only option. So just not even considering frozen vegetables as an option. And the thing is that there's actually been research done where they've compared, like looked at like actually analyzed the nutritional value of super fresh veg, frozen veg, and then veg that hadn't been frozen but were like older, like weren't super fresh. And the frozen, like of course the super fresh veg had the highest nutritional content, but the frozen veg were actually pretty close to that, and a long way ahead of the veg that weren't super fresh. So nutritionally and even from a flavor perspective, frozen veg are a great option. Third mistake people make is not having space in the freezer, so filling your freezer with less healthy options. And so what we want to, the solution there is like just being real with yourself and like thinking about like, do I really want to be having, if I fill my freezer with frozen pizza and bread, what am I going to eat? Frozen pizza and bread. Whereas if I make space to have some frozen vegetables and good quality protein, then I'm going to more likely to eat, vegetables and protein. And then the fourth mistake that people make is, and this is a huge one, is defrosting the vegetables before you start cooking. And the reason this is a problem is that it's to do with like on the cellular structure, like as they're defrosting, they're all defrosted, like they're kind of sitting there in this pool of water. And so they kind of have that mushy texture. Whereas if you're cooking them from frozen, the moisture is evaporating as they're cooking and it just keeps them closer to fresh. It's not exactly the same, but it gives you a pretty good approximation. So that's a mistake people make with frozen veg. And here's a story from Paula, and she was a confirmed like non-cook like all her life, and she used to like buy pre-prepared meals and didn't ever make anything from scratch. And she'd shared, I'm so pleased with myself. I avoided what was once a common fallback on junk type food when I was tired or didn't feel like eating what I'd planned. On top of that, I created a satisfying meal with ingredients I had available. So that's Paula was able to break that habit and be able to actually create healthy meals even when she was tired and she'd had a tough day. So this works. So seriously, it does work for everyone. So could this work for you? So if you followed what I showed you in Secret One and used my 3 ingredient framework, And then you did what I showed you in Secret 2 and use flavor bombs to add flavor when things are bland. And then if you use Secret 3 to use frozen veg to make zero prep meals, like, do you think you could be successful? Like, could this work for you? Just want you to think about that for a little bit. And now I have a question for you. So is it okay if I just spend 10 minutes now going over the 21-day challenge that I've created to help you implement these 3 secrets? So just type in the chat and let me know if you're okay if we do that. Yes, amazing. Okay, excellent. Let's do it. Thank you. Okay, so my 21-day confident cook challenge. So there's 4 parts to the challenge. So first we have our 3 ingredient framework. So that's where I've already shared with you. And then the second part is that I'm going to be running live cook along sessions. So what they will be are like 30-minute Zoom classes where we're actually in the kitchen. So the fourth part is a shopping list or a grocery list. So I'll send you a grocery list so you can have some ingredients ready. And then in these cook along sessions, I'll do a quick demo and then you'll be in the kitchen cooking as well. So you'll be able to ask questions in real time. And so basically it's the next best thing to me coming over to your house and cooking for you is for us to be doing it together over Zoom. And then the final component in the challenge will be a mastermind. So we'll have an online group, which is kind of going to be, it'll be like a private Facebook group, but it's on a standalone platform called Circle, which it doesn't have all the distractions of Facebook and is private. So that's the core parts of the challenge. And how it will work is that you'll attend like there'll be 3 different call times a week, and I'll get you to attend one call a week and just make 1 meal each week for the 3 weeks. And over the 3 weeks, we'll focus on a slightly different way to implement that 3 ingredient framework. So the first week will be Cook's Night Off, where we're not actually cooking and using any heat to make a meal. Second week will be One Pot Wonders, where we are cooking, but just using one pot, or pan. Then the third week will be what I call when let dinner cook itself, and that's basically using either oven or air fryer or a toaster oven, where you put ingredients on a tray, put them in the oven, set the timer, and go and relax while dinner cooks itself. So that will be the structures that we'll be implementing. And so what this will enable you to do is that, like, it's going to give you that ability to pull together healthy meals without it feeling like work. It's going to feel fun and easy. You're going to be able to learn to make delicious food from what's in the fridge already. And you're going to be able to add flavor when things are bland. You'll have that real-time experience of doing that with flavor bombs. And last but not least is that you're going to be able to relax and have fun in the kitchen. Like, instead of seeing cooking as this chore that you have to do at the end of the day, you'll become like me. So for me, like, when I walk into the kitchen to cook dinner, I see that as like, that's the beginning of my evening. It's when I relax, and that's my me time. That's like my me time starts then. It doesn't start at the end of after dinner. So you'll be able to experience that as well. And the cool thing is that you'll be able to here's what you'll be able to get rid of. So you'll be able to get rid of your fear of failure. You're going to be able to get rid of feeling inadequate in the kitchen. You'll be able to get rid of wasting hours on complicated recipes and searching up for the perfect recipe. And you'll also be able to get rid of that guilt and shame that you may be feeling for not feeding yourself as well as you'd like. So now I'm going to show you some people who've had a chance to go through this process together. So share some stories. So Jen was someone who actually was quite a competent cook, and she'd been cooking for a long time, raising 5 boys. But the interesting thing about Jen's story is that she really felt like cooking was a drudge and that she didn't enjoy it at all. And it was just like this chore that she had to do. And she didn't believe that she could change that relationship with cooking. Like, she kind of thought that this was it for her. That was her lot in life. And the only reason she decided to work with me was because one of her children, she was interested. And so she thought, oh, this will be a nice, activity for us to do together, thinking that he was going to get all the benefits from it, and she was just going to have some nice time with him. But actually, it actually completely changed her relationship with cooking as well. And afterwards, like she was like having fun in the kitchen, and she said, like, I found that space of curiosity helping diminish the level of criticism I felt for myself in my cooking. And it was great because she was able to, while we were working together, she started a new job, and she was able to like navigate that whole new job thing, and being able to like pull together lunches and take lunches to work. And her colleagues were like, wow, what's that? That looks amazing. And she would be, oh, it's just something I pulled together, like just something I whipped up with what was in the fridge. So yeah, it really changed things for Jen. Then we've got Julie. And so before Julie lives in Canada, and before Julie worked with me, she was a recipe cook. So, and she was cooking for herself and her partner, and they have different dietary requirements. So she was, in the past, she used to have to cook two separate meals, which is a bit of a drag. And she said, I never enjoyed being glued to a recipe while cooking. Jules's concept of magic meals really opened my mind. Cooking is so much more fun. I don't dread it anymore. So meal planning is no longer a huge mental exercise of compiling recipes and listing ingredients needing. My partner needed. My partner does the shopping without a detailed list, gets what looks good or is on sale, and then we do a quick meal plan for the week once he's home with the bounty. It's so much easier and more enjoyable. And then she also said, now I'm able to look in the fridge, and I know I can whip up something quickly that we'll both enjoy. So she has that ability to cook without recipes. And then last story is from Cheryl, and just to set the scene. So Cheryl's life when she decided to work with me was actually really chaotic. So she was going through a divorce, and not only having that stress in her life, but her husband had been the one who'd been the cook in the house. So she'd never cooked. And so before we started working together, she said, I've hated cooking my whole life, largely because of feeling like a moron in the kitchen, just because I was never really taught things. So I had a terrible self-talk that made me feel that no matter what I was doing, it was stressful because I didn't know what I was doing. And then after she worked together, she said, I love being able to look in my freezer, fridge, pantry, and just make something up on the fly that sounds good without ever having to look at a piece of paper or a screen. And she said, this honestly feels like freedom to me. Cooking freedom from the nasty voices in my head, and freedom from overwhelm. I'm so grateful for this course. Honestly, if I'd only ever had the first lesson, it would have been life-changing. So there we go. Cheryl, life completely changed. And so this works for, as I mentioned before, it works for non-cooks like Cheryl. It works for recipe cooks like Julie. And it also works for intuitive cooks like Jen was, but she was seeing it as a chore. And as I mentioned before, it's for all dietary requirements, because you're choosing the ingredients that you use, and you can choose ones that suit your dietaries. And it works, of course, for people from all countries. And it also works for all equipment levels. So even if you're like the first lesson, I'm going to be cooking here in my office space. So you could do it from a hotel room, or you could do it when you camp. I've had people take the class when they were camping, like traveling around. I had someone traveling around Australia, and she would share these amazing photos of what she was making. So you don't need a fancy kitchen. You don't need a fancy, any fancy stuff. So now let's look at some bonuses I'm going to include with the challenge to really ensure that you have the same success as Cheryl, Julie, and Jen, and Penny, and Bill, and Paula. So first bonus is I'm going to share with you my Confident Cook Mindset coaching. So this isn't just a course, it's actually a coaching program. And the great thing about this is it's going to help you bust those limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck in feeling like cooking is work. And so our mindset is everything. Second bonus is I'm going to share my zero prep cooking blueprint. And so this is really going to go deep on showing you how to use, it's giving you a cheat sheet really of how to use each different type of frozen veg, and also other convenient ingredients. So you're not having to do any prep, and cooking stops feeling like work. When we've got bonus 3 is a dietary requirement roadmap. So if you are someone like Julie who has different dietary requirements in your household, you're not then cooking, so you won't have to be cooking two separate meals or multiple meals. And the other cool thing with that roadmap, it's going to help you to stop feeling deprived of like, oh, poor me, I can't eat gluten or whatever. The next one is picky piece, my mini class. And so this is for those of you that do have little ones or not so little picky eaters that you're feeding. And this is going to help you stop feeling defeated when your children or your grandchildren or your whoever other picky eaters in your life aren't excited about the meals that you make when you do put in a lot of effort. Then we've got a waste avoidance spreadsheet. So that's going to help you store ingredients correctly so you stop wasting valuable food dollars. Then we have our classic flavor combo confidence cheat sheet, and that's to help you so you have that confidence to know what goes with what. I'm giving you specific examples. And then the final thing we have is our global cuisines cheat sheet. And that's really helpful to like get a feeling of like, if I want to make something Italian, this is the types of things, ingredients I can use. Or if I want to make something Middle Eastern, and the beauty about that is it's going to help you, when you're feeling, never feel stuck in a rut. So you could be using the same salmon and broccoli, but you could be presenting it in like a Japanese way, or it could be Lebanese. And so that global cuisines cheat sheet will help you with that. And then the final bonus is my tongue twister, blandness busting flavor bomb blueprint. And that one you'll be able to like print and keep in your kitchen, and that will give you that confidence to instantly add flavor when things are bland. And so to recap, everything that's included in the challenge. So there's 4 core components and then all the bonuses that I've just gone through. When I went out and put a dollar value on each of those, the total value came to $1,709. So obviously I'm not going to charge you $1,700, but if I were to charge that much for this, and all it did was give you one way to pull together a healthy meal, would it be worth it to you? Or if all it did was give you that confident mindset so that you could add flavor when things were bland, would that be worth it to you? And if all it did was to like stop the time that you currently spend cooking dinner or thinking about dinner, and for it feeling like a work or chore or drudge, to actually turning it into relaxing me time and like time that you actually enjoy, like would it be worth it if you think about how that's going to compound over the decades and decades decades and decades, hopefully, for the rest of your life? Yeah, of course. It's such a good investment. So basically with the challenge, I had 2 choices. So first choice that I had thought about was offering it as a free challenge. But the thing is that people don't value what they get for free. And like, who here has like signed up for a free challenge and then not shown up and done the challenge? Like, absolutely guilty, or like multiple times on my case. And so then I came up with this idea of it being a free challenge, but with a catch. And basically what this idea was to get you to pay a deposit. So you pay up front, and then when you complete the challenge, you either get your money back, which I'd be happy to do, or you can use that deposit as credit to one of my other programs. So if you wanted to go deeper on the cooking, I've got my Joyful Cooking coaching group. Or if you wanted to look at your relationship with food and maybe lose some weight, then I've got my Naturally Healthy Club coaching group. So you'd be able to you can use the credit for either of those, or take it back as cash. So you've already seen how it's worth $1,700. So, but with this free with a catch, with the deposit, it's going to be $149. So you just pay the deposit today or whenever your application's accepted. And then when you complete the challenge, and to complete the challenge, all you'll need to do is make 3 meals over the 3 weeks and share them in the group. And then you'll either get your money back or you can use it as credit. And so I've just opened up applications for the challenge. I'll just paste the link in the chat there. So you should be able to see that now if you want to check it out for the application page. And basically the process is you fill in an application, and then I'll just, because I just want to check and make sure it's a good fit, because I only have 100 spaces. So I want to make sure that you're committed and you're up for it. And so I'll let you know when you're accepted, and then we take it from there. Okay. And so I guess, yeah, at this point, like, you really have 2 choices. So you can do nothing with the information that you've learned today. And if you do nothing, like, what will you get? Nothing. Things will just stay the same. or you can just choose to take a leap of faith and test it out and see if it will work for you. And the thing another thing I wanted to let you know is that like all my products are covered by a 30-day money back guarantee, because like the only way for you to really make an informed decision about whether this is going to work for you or not is if you actually do it from the inside and take the challenge. So you can test drive it now and see if it works for you, and you really have nothing to lose. So the real question is like, is this worth gambling a few minutes of your time to check it out? The answer to that is yes. So I guess the number one mistake people make, you might be thinking like you can't get started now because it's not the right time. Like I have too much on at the moment. And if that thought's going through your head, of course, like we all lead busy lives. But here's why that mistake will hold you back from success. And the thing is that there'll never be this right time when, like, when there's mountains of space. And so the thing is that when you're busy, it's actually the best time to learn a really simple framework, because that's when you need it the most. And if you remember Cheryl, like, her life was really chaotic, and actually taking that class and doing that work simplified cooking for her, so that she was eating well, she wasn't worried about it, and she was actually fueled her so that she was able to handle the other stresses in her life from a better place, rather than if she hadn't, then she would have been scrambling for what she was eating and not feeling as great, and that would have made it even harder to deal with what was going on at the time. Yeah, so back to the challenge. So there's all the things that you're getting included. So applications are open now, and they're going to close on the 31st of January or earlier if spaces fill up. So there's only 100 spaces. So you want to get on this now. If this is sounding good to you, definitely get your application in, and so we can talk. And if you have any, I'm going to open up to questions now. So if you do have any questions, I'm happy to go through those now. So yes, does anyone have any questions? Like it can be anything we've discussed today. So anything about the 3 secrets or anything about the challenge. Gonna have some water. So yeah, type in the chat if you've got a question. Helpful to get get those details. Wow, no questions. I must be a very good teacher. It must be very clear. Excellent. Basil's Greens asked, what if I would just want the cheat sheets and the blueprints? Then you join the challenge and you'll get the cheat sheets and the blueprints. Basil. Is it Basil? Basil. Yeah, you can join the challenge, and that's the best way to get there, because the cheat sheets and blueprints are worth it, like just without even doing the challenge. Amazing. Any other questions? Oh, I didn't mention about when it starts. So the actual challenge will be starting on the 5th of February. So, and be running for the 3 weeks from then. Okay. No other questions? Oh, no, we do. No questions, but this seems amazing. Oh, yeah, it is, Emma. Good to see you, Emma. Yes, it's going to be super fun. So come and join in the fun. Yeah, like seriously, this framework has changed my life and the lives of so many people who didn't think it was. Oh, great question. So Debs asked, what if we're already in the Emma's joined, amazing. What if we're already in the NHC? That's a naturally healthy club. So yes, Deb, totally do the challenge, and then I'll credit you towards your naturally healthy club membership. So you'll be able to get depending on the rate, you'll be able to get a free month or more. Jennifer's asked, is the cost 149 USD? It's depending on where you live in the world, Jennifer. So if you're in America, yes, it's US. If you're in the rest of the world, it's USD. But if you're in Australia, I charge Australians in Australian dollars, just so you don't have to have any international transaction fees. I have those two prices. Leon's asked, what was the main reason for you to introduce the 3 ingredient recipes? Because I'm always looking for ways to simplify. Is it Leon? Yeah, Leon. And so that's and that's why I was like, right, actually, this is all we really need. And so, of course, um, um, yes. So, of course, like just because with the framework is three ingredients doesn't mean that you only have to use three ingredients. Like you could use, you can use three different types of vegetables. You can use, two different types of protein. Like yesterday, I had some steak and some tofu with my lunch. So it's not like everyone has to stick to it. But when you have that in your mind as the framework of the starting place, you can add more complexity to it if you'd like. Um, but yeah, like it sticks there. Like yeah, three ingredients is kind of that base that you need. Um, Dean, great question. There's three. One will be on. So the three different times there'll be at different. One will be at this time of day, but it'll be on a Friday or a Thursday. I won't go into the details of the times, but just pop your application in. And one of the things that I'll get you to do is um, I'll check in with you if your application's successful, and if you aren't able to make one of the three times, then I'm considering adding a fourth time. So I'll definitely make sure that you are able to attend live. Um, okay, amazing. Um, oh, Maria, good to see you, Maria. Currency for UK. No, that's getting too complex for me, Maria. Sorry. So you'd need to do US. Um, yeah, Jennifer, there are recordings. So yeah, if it wasn't going to be possible for you to make the live calls, they will be recorded. So you could do it that way. And I have had heaps of people who've done my programs, but I think with the challenge, it will be fun if we can get everyone live. So I am going to try and make sure that there is a time. Um, yes. Okay. Amazing. Just checking for questions. And um, oh, great. Lena said, thank you for this. I've had a few of your recipe books and over the years, and they've been great. Sometimes your beautiful photography is all I need for inspiration. Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you, Lena. Okay, so if that's it for questions, then we might wrap up the recording there, but stay on because remember I promised you my 8-second bonus. So I'm just going to actually, where's the recording button? Hang on, need to go. Um, Stop recording. How do I do that again?